Yeah, I think I can take a lot of confidence based off how I was playing in the first set, how the first set went, because for the majority of it, or pretty much the whole set, I didn't notice any difference or dips in play. I thought that I was playing my game and I was playing well. I did a lot of things well today, and I felt like I've built well off of my last match. The way that I was playing 2 days ago, and so I think that I'm happy with the way that I competed throughout the set, and it's always unfortunate when you have a match cut short, but the upside is that I'll be more rested than having a 5-hour battle come 2 days from now.
Which will be the third round.
Right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Andrew, good.
Thanks, Gary. Andrew Jones, ESPN Landscape. Ben, this is that first set because Dominic coming off a dominant win against Sasha, looking like vintage Dominic, and you were able to take a high level from him and be able to edge that out. As you said, your whole thoughts on building from that, come back against Kachin and piling this on in that first set.
Yeah, I think that after the match with Kachin, I kind of showed that I was comfortable coming from behind, dealing with some adversity, tough things in the matches I play, being down 5-0 and losing the first set 6-1 in my first round, and obviously going down a break early in the set or to going down 4-2 and then getting it right back. I thought that I did a great job again, staying composed, competing and, turning the switch on when I needed to and, playing points smart the right way, being aggressive at the right times. I felt like things were flowing today, especially towards the end of the set and the tiebreaker, and I kind of found my groove.
So when it's set like that against a top player without having your perfect serve, it shows how your return, you feel that you're making progress in the return games and saying, hey, I can break right back and get into the set and stay calm in that aspect.
Yeah, I definitely think one of my better returning days, kind of finding the balance of how to be aggressive on the return of serve, how to get ahead in some points, but be consistent and not be spraying returns everywhere. I'd say that this is one of the better return days that I've had, and one of the big things that gives me a lot of confidence, knowing playing a good server like Dominic, and to be able to get a break and take him deep in a lot of his service games. I didn't break every time or the majority of the time, but he didn't have too many free games where he got through his service game easy.
Tamani?
Hi Ben, Tamani Kyle from The Guardian. This has obviously been your first full year on the tour. I'm curious what you've learned about life on tour and life as a tennis player that you didn't know before.
Yeah, I think that it's a little bit more lonely than being in college. You travel with a big team and all your friends. You're always staying in a hotel room with somebody else, and there's not much downtime or alone time. Being out on tour, you have a lot more time to yourself, alone in your hotel room, more time to think about things, and that can be a positive or a negative. But I'd say that that's one of the biggest differences for me. I'd say the other difference is that there's not many breaks in the schedule. It seems like the tour is always going until December, and it's just go, 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 go. So I'd say that I assumed before I was out here on tour that there were more down weeks or weeks where there weren't tournaments, but it seems that there's always something going on.
Diane DiCostanzo, running for the USTA. Your service game, I think you hit 7 aces in an hour-long match, and 13 in your round one match. I think one of your serves was 140 miles per hour. I was wondering if you look at the serve speed readout when you serve, after you serve, and if you had a serving strategy against him.
Yeah, my dad gets mad at me when I chase the numbers on the score clock because the MPHs. Because once I hit 140, I'm gonna try to beat it on the next one, hit at 145. So that's something that we go back and forth about. But yeah, I think that my serving strategy changes each match, but the overall consistency of what I do on my serve stays the same. You know, I try to mix things up and keep guys off balance, and I thought I did a great job today of changing up speeds and spins, and I didn't feel at any point, you know, he had a bead on my serve. I'd say that my biggest problem in my service games is that I break myself sometimes. It's not always people hitting return winners against me or getting it in net, hitting volley winners. It's a lot of errors coming off my racket. So I felt like lately I've been doing a better job kind of managing my service games and knowing when to, you know, pull the trigger and when to pull back a little bit.
Ben Kurt Streeter from the New York Times. As somebody who played your dad, I can honestly say that serving big runs in the family. That's not my question, though. That's not a question. I'm interested in the way you exude emotion on the court, and you don't hide emotion, and you seem to be joyful out there, just like loving the moment. What's the importance to you of joy on court?
Yeah, I think it's really important for getting me in the right mental state. Playing the type of tennis where, you know, I love to be out there. I feel that when I try to put myself in this, okay, let's be professional and be quiet, have a stern look on my face the whole time I'm playing, it takes away from some of my creativity on the court, some of the energy or explosive, you know, movements that I like to do when I'm playing, and I think that for me, having a smile on my face helps keep things fun. And when I'm having fun, I'm playing some of my best tennis. So I'd say that that's another thing for me, finding the balance of having fun, showing emotion, you know, being loud, which I like to be on the court. You know, and finding that balance, because obviously the pro game is very different than the college game. The college game is much more obnoxious. People are screaming at all times. It's not as much of a gentleman's sport as it is out on tour. So I've kind of been trying to find that balance.
Chris?
Hey, Ben, it's Chris Otto from USOpen.org. Congrats on the win today. I watched your UTS video with Foe and Chris Eubanks, and there was some great stuff in there, by the way, and there was something that you said about how you'd like to have the aura of a Rafael Nadal and how everybody in the locker room is scared of him because they know he's outworking them. And I just wanted if you could elaborate on it a little and see maybe if, you know, how you are progressing in that direction.
Yeah. Did I say Rafa? I thought I said Roger.
You had Roger in the beginning of the statement
Okay, I said, I made the comment about Rafa because of he's outworking people.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that, you know, something that gives me a lot of confidence when I go into a tournament or, you know, a new season is starting after an off season. It's like, okay, did everyone else out here put as much work as me in the gym? Maybe they did. Maybe they put more. But I think that, you know, putting as much work as I can myself and working smart, obviously not overworking or doing things that are stupid in my off season, but, you know, working hard and working smart, pushing myself to the max. I think that that's something that helps, you know, give me a mental edge, even if, you know, the other guy's done as much work or more work, but me knowing that I've done as much as I can do, that's something that I try to work on and I'm trying to improve on.
Okay, good. Kurt, go ahead.
I believe that today it's the second time, it's the first time that you've won 2 matches back to back since the Australian Open on the tour. How have you talked last about joy, right? How did you keep that joy as you were going through the rough patch of the clay court season, the expectations that were on you after the Australian, and just throughout the year? It's been a rough year in terms of wins and losses.
Yeah, I think that, you know, knowing that it was my first time playing every tournament I was playing, and my first time on 2 surfaces that have been the majority of this season, you know, I don't take that lightly, and I know that it's something where there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. I'm going to have to make some improvements and adjustments, and I didn't expect to be, at the very top level on those surfaces right away. I feel like a lot of players get their first experiences on other surfaces at the future level or the challenger level, but it's like, no, I'm jumping in right away to Masters 1000s or a 500 at the Queen's Club that's as strong as a Masters 1000, and I'm playing, a guy who's almost top 10 in the world in the second round. So I think that was a piece for me that I kind of had to keep my perspective and know that, okay, it's not like I'm supposed to go out here and win every single match I play just because I did something good early in the season. I knew that it was going to be a challenge learning on these surfaces in a short amount of time with not much practice. But I think that having the right people around you, keeping my head screwed on straight, and knowing that this is a marathon, not a sprint, and I have a lot of long-term goals. I'm not as worried about the short term.
Okay, a couple more.
Did you have any inkling during the tiebreak that Thiem was hurting in any way?
No, not that I noticed, but I was pretty locked in, and emotions were high at that point, and I was just competing the best I could, so I wasn't really looking for anything on the other side. Maybe I would have noticed.
When all of a sudden he started coming towards the net.
I could kind of tell when he came back on court after the bathroom break that he was pretty down and dejected with his head down, but I've played plenty of guys on tour who will give you that walk and kind of acting like they're down and then running like a rabbit the next point. So obviously when I came out from my service game, I was ready to go and I wasn't thinking anything of it. And then, those 4 points where he kind of just let the ball go by, then I kind of had an idea what was going on.
Okay, last question, young lady on the right side.
Stephanie Libiday, tennis.com. Iga Swiatek, who also wears on, was recently talking about how she hasn't been able to switch to the shoes because something's not quite right yet. You, who wear the shoes yourself, I'm curious what kind of transition from your old shoes to the on shoes, and if there's anything that you notice or that stands out when you're switching a major part of your kit, like the shoes.
Yeah, I think that was something for me that I knew a lot of the things that I wanted with my shoe, and it wasn't, too complicated. I think that since my career has been shorter, and I haven't played as many matches, I've still been growing the last couple of years. I didn't really have a shoe that I loved or was comfortable with. So finding a shoe that worked for me, or even being able to build a shoe that catered to my needs, it was pretty easy to find something that I liked. But, when you're winning, multiple Grand Slams on different surfaces, competing at the highest level, and your movement is your biggest weapon for someone like Iga, I think that it would probably be a little bit more difficult than me, who, hadn't played before on clay, hadn't played before on grass. So the only thing that I had to go off of was the on shoe. So I think it was a lot easier for me to adjust. And I'm sure that she'll figure it out and be in the shoe soon.